Listen closely, because this moment is not like the others. This isn't just another fleeting second in the endless march of time. No, this is the moment. The one that calls your name with a voice you can no longer ignore. The one that stands at the crossroads, daring you to choose, to rise or to let the weight of the world keep you buried. Hear me clearly. This is not about merely surviving. This is about becoming, thriving, transforming. This is about proving to them and to yourself that they miscalculated. They thought you'd break, but you were never the breaking kind. And with that, I know you've been pushed, bent in ways that felt unnatural, like a tree in a violent storm, torn apart by words sharper than any blade and by silences that screamed louder than any thunder. You felt yourself shatter into pieces so small that even you doubted they could ever fit back together. And there's no shame in that, because here's the truth no one tells you. Breaking isn't the end. Breaking is the beginning. It's the place where resilience is born, where strength learns to rise. Look at yourself. Really look. You might see the scars first. They're hard to miss. Lines that tell stories of battles fought, of nights that stretched on too long, of days that felt like years. Those scars, they are not your shame. They are your proof. Proof that the pain did not swallow you whole. Proof that no matter how many times you were knocked down, you're still here, standing, breathing, waiting for the right moment to move. And that moment, it's now. You feel that? The shift in the air? It's subtle but undeniable. That's the wind of purpose starting to stir. Even broken wings can catch its current. Even fractured souls can soar when they choose to believe in the power of their flight. But the wind can only do so much. You've got to spread those wings. You've got to decide that the ground, no matter how comfortable it's become, is not where you belong. You've got to trust that the fall you're so afraid of might just lead to your greatest rise. Let me say it again because I don't think you're hearing me yet. This moment is everything. It's the fork in the road where you decide who you'll become. You've got to stop waiting for someone to save you. Stop looking for a sign, a savior, or a break in the storm. You've been standing in the rain too long, soaking in the cold, waiting for it to pass. But rain only yields to those bold enough to step through it. The sun, it waits on the other side of your action. So, what's it gonna be? Are you gonna keep walking through life like a ghost, haunting the potential you once dreamed of? Or are you gonna reclaim it? Will you stay a shadow, fading into the background? Or will you demand the light that's been yours all along? The time for hesitation is over. The time for doubt has passed. You've been given all the signs you need. The only thing left is the choice. And I know what they've told you. They've said you're not enough, that you're too damaged, too lost, too broken to make anything of what's left. But they don't see what I see. They don't see the fire that still smolders beneath the ash. They don't see the strength in your scars, the wisdom in your pain. They don't see that every time you fell, you were learning, preparing. They don't know that their underestimation of you was their first mistake, and it's about to be their greatest regret. You're not fragile. You never were. What you are is forged, tempered in the fire of your trials, hardened by every disappointment and betrayal. They thought they were breaking you, but all they did was create something unbreakable. All they did was build the foundation for the unstoppable force you're about to become. Do you feel it now? That fire growing, the strength surging through the cracks? That's the unstoppable version of you awakening. The one who doesn't back down. The one who doesn't settle for survival but demands greatness. It's been waiting inside you this whole time, just waiting for you to open the door. And here you are, standing on the threshold. You were never meant to stay in the shadows. You were never meant to play small or live quietly. You were made to rise, to be seen, to take up space in a world that tried to shrink you. So stand up, stand tall, let them see what they've done. Let them see the masterpiece they unknowingly helped create. This moment isn't just about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. You've always known there was something more inside you, something stronger than the pain, something bigger than the fear. Now's the time to claim it, now's the time to rise. Because when they thought you'd break, they didn't account for your heart, your will, your soul. They didn't realize that even broken things can shine, and that sometimes the cracks are where the light gets in. Let me ask you something. How many times have you given everything you had, only to watch it slip through your fingers? How many times have you poured your heart out, left it bare for the world to see, only to have them walk past like it meant nothing? You gave them all of you, your love, your trust, your time, and when you look back, all you found was emptiness. They took what they needed and left you hollow, like a shell washed up on a forgotten shore. So when they enter a new system, they take what they needed and left you hollow, like a shell washed up on a forgotten shore. Betrayal doesn't just hurt, it reshapes you. It leaves you questioning everything. Was I not enough? Did I deserve this? And then came the failures, the ones that haunt you in the quiet of the night, whispering that maybe they were right about you all along, the ones that convince you that you're stuck, that nothing you do will ever be enough. You tried. God, did you try? But the weight of falling short crushes you, leaving you gasping for air. Exhaustion doesn't just settle in your bones, it seeps into your soul. You've been running on empty for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to be full. I hadn't reached out for a long time, but the spirits were around the rooms that winter one last time, so that my spirit was not destroyed. He's been ruined. But let's talk about the fears, the doubts, the quiet voices in your mind that don't need to shout to be heard. They creep in during your weakest moments, convincing you that the pieces left behind are too broken to build again. They say, why bother? You'll just fail again. You'll just hurt again. And you listen, because those voices know exactly where to hit you. They remind you of every mistake, every misstep, every time you fell short of your own expectations. Do you remember the day you felt invisible? The day you stood in a room full of people and still felt utterly alone? You screamed, maybe not out loud, but inside, where it mattered. You screamed for someone to notice, to care, to see you. But the world didn't stop. It didn't turn its head. It didn't even pause to acknowledge the shadow you felt you'd become. That pain, it's real, and I won't dismiss it because it matters. This is what you remember the most. What you feel matters. You've carried that pain with you, like a vase shattered on the floor. They looked at the pieces and thought, there's no saving this, it's ruined. But they don't see what I see. They don't see the strength it takes to keep going, even when it feels like there's nothing left. They don't see the beauty in a mosaic crafted from broken pieces. They think you're finished, but you're not even close. The villain? Oh, there's no shortage of those. Sometimes it's the faces of the people you trusted, the ones who promised to stand by you but left when things got hard. Sometimes it's the weight of societal expectations, telling you to be something you're not, to fit into a mold you never asked for. And sometimes the villain is staring back at you in the mirror. The self-doubt, the fear, the voice that whispers, you're not enough. But here's the thing about villains. They're not invincible. They thrive on your silence, your inaction, your belief in their lies. They tell you that your story is already written, that the ending is inevitable. But let me ask you this. Are you really going to let them write the ending to your story? Are you going to hand over the pen and let them decide what happens next? Are you going to let them decide what happens next? I know you feel like you're at war with yourself, torn between the person you've been and the person you want to become. You carry the weight of everyone's expectations, everyone's judgments, and somewhere along the way you lost sight of your own reflection. But let me tell you something. It's still there. Beneath the pain, beneath the doubt, beneath the exhaustion, the real you is waiting for the moment you decide to fight back. Because the truth is, you've been fighting all along. Every day you get up when it feels like the world is against you, you're fighting. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're defying the odds. They thought they could bury you, but they didn't know you were a seed. They didn't know that the dirt they tried to drown you in would only make you stronger. I see you. I see the struggle, the pain, the fear. But more importantly, I see the strength you don't even realize you have. I see the fighter, the survivor, the soul that refuses to give up. And I'm here to remind you that the villains, whether they're people, expectations, or fears, don't get the final say. You do. So here's the question. What are you going to do with that pen? Will you let it sit there, untouched, as the world writes a story you never wanted? Or will you pick it up and start writing the chapter you were meant to live? It's not easy. I won't lie to you about that. But nothing worth having ever is. And I promise you, the hardest battles often lead to the most glorious victories. Now, let's turn the pages, and we will write a tale. You are not your pain. You are not your struggles. You are not the lies they've told you, or the lies you've told yourself. You are something far greater, and the moment you start to see that, the moment you begin to believe it, is the moment everything changes. So don't let the pain define you. Let it fuel you. Let it remind you of the fire that's still burning inside. Because you've been through too much to give up now. You've fought too hard to let them win. You've got too much left to give, too much left to live for. And if they can't see it, that's their loss. But don't you dare let it be yours. You've been here so long it almost feels like home. The heaviness that clings to you, the ache that never quite leaves, it's become familiar, hasn't it? You've learned to navigate the darkness, to function in the fog, to smile when everything inside you screams to stop pretending. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. This place isn't home. It's a prison. And if you stay here, it will swallow you whole. The light inside you, the one that flickers faintly, barely visible, will eventually fade. It's not just about the pain you're feeling now. It's about what happens if you let it win. If you let it settle, it will consume everything you are. Each step feels heavier, like you're dragging chains that no one else can see. The world keeps moving, people rushing past you, oblivious to the weight you carry. You try to keep up, to put one foot in front of the other, but it's like walking through quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. And with every passing day, the idea of giving up doesn't just whisper, it shouts. It offers you a way out, a way to stop fighting. But don't you see? That's the lie. Giving up doesn't free you. It traps you in a different kind of darkness, one that's harder to escape. You've cried rivers, the kind of tears that don't come with noise, but with silence so loud it echoes in your chest. And yet, the drought of healing still lingers. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the face staring back. It's a face marked by sleepless nights, by battles fought in silence, by wounds that haven't yet turned into scars. You wonder if this is all there is, if this is what life will always be. A cycle of hurt and emptiness, a treadmill of effort with no destination in sight. And then there are the walls. Oh, those walls. They're so high, aren't they? Built brick by the people who doubted you, by the moments that broke you, by the fears you've carried for far too long. They surround you, closing in, making the world outside feel unreachable. You pace inside them, searching for a door, a crack, an escape. But here's the thing, the key has always been in your hand. You just haven't believed you're strong enough to use it. You've been living as a ghost in your own story, haunting the life you deserve. Watching others move forward while you remain stuck in the past, tethered to the pain, the failures, the betrayals. It's as if the world has gone on without you, leaving you behind in a place where time doesn't seem to move. You're caught between what was and what could be, and the space in between feels endless. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is the depth of despair. It's the place where dreams go to die, where hope feels like a distant memory. It's the place where your mind plays tricks on you, telling you that nothing will ever change, that you'll be here forever. And the cruelest part, it convinces you that you deserve it, that this is the punishment for every mistake you've ever made, for every time you weren't enough, for every time you let someone down, for every time you let down someone trustworthy, for every time you let anyone's superficial prestige, for every time you let someone down. But let me tell you something about this place. It's a liar. Everything it tells you, everything it makes you believe, it's all designed to keep you here, to keep you small, to keep you from seeing the truth about who you are and what you're capable of. Because the moment you start to question it, the moment you begin to fight back, its power begins to crumble. Do you want to know what happens if you stay here? If you let this despair take root and grow? The dreams you once had, the ones that used to light you up, that used to make your heart race, they'll wither away. The relationships that could bring you joy, the opportunities that could change your life, the person you were meant to become, they'll all be lost. Not because they're out of reach, but because you stopped reaching. And I know what you're thinking. What's the point of trying? What's the point of fighting when I've already lost so much? But that's the despair talking. That's the voice of the darkness trying to convince you that it's stronger than you are. And I'll be honest with you, it's loud and it's convincing, but it's wrong. Because if it were truly stronger than you wouldn't still be here. You wouldn't still be listening to these words, searching for a way out. The fact that you're still standing, even in this place, proves that it hasn't won. So what now? Do you keep sitting in this darkness, letting it wrap itself around you like a blanket, or do you start to fight for the light? It's not an easy fight, I won't pretend that it is. It's messy and it's painful, and there will be days when it feels like you're not making any progress at all. But every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you choose to get up instead of staying down, every time you choose hope instead of despair, you're winning. You've been through so much, more than anyone should ever have to endure, and it's left its mark on you. But those marks, they're not signs of weakness. They're proof of your resilience. Proof that even in your darkest moments, you didn't give up. And as long as you're still here, as long as there's even the tiniest flicker of light inside you, there's hope. This place, the depth of despair, it's not where you're meant to stay. It's a chapter, not the whole book. It's a moment, not the entire story, and the only way out is through. So take a breath, feel the weight of everything you've been carrying, acknowledge it, honor it, and then start to let it go. Because the light is waiting for you. The life you deserve is waiting for you. And the only thing standing between you and it is the decision to keep moving forward. You've been down long enough. You've felt the weight of despair, the suffocating grip of hopelessness, and the chains of doubt that bind your every step. But now, it's time to look at the rubble around you and realize something extraordinary. This is where your power begins. This is where transformation takes root. You see, the fire didn't consume you, it forged you. And the scars you carry, they're not signs of weakness. They're the proof of a soul that refused to give in. Look closely at those scars. Run your fingers over them, metaphorically or literally, and understand what they represent. Each one tells a story of survival, a moment when life tried to break you, but couldn't. They are your armor now, stronger, more resilient, more beautiful in their imperfection. They don't define your pain, they define your victory over it. Every scar you carry is a badge of honor, a testament to your strength. Scars are your and it's time the world sees them, not as a sign of what you've lost, but as proof of what you've overcome. It's time to reframe the narrative. The pain that once held you captive is now the very thing that sets you free. It taught you lessons you couldn't have learned any other way. It showed you the depths of your resilience, the strength that only comes from enduring what felt impossible. Pain is not your enemy, it's your catalyst. It's the fire that burns away the lies they told you about yourself. It's the hammer and chisel that shapes you into the person you're meant to become. Think of a phoenix rising from the ashes. They thought the flames would destroy it, but instead the fire gave it new life. You are that phoenix. The ashes you've been sitting in, the ones that seem to whisper failure and loss, are the foundation of your rebirth. This is your moment to rise, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of it. The flames that tried to consume you have only made you stronger, sharper, more alive than ever before. Now take a moment. Reflect. Who are you when no one's looking? When the world is silent and it's just you and your thoughts? What do you see? That's the person you need to become. The one who isn't performing for anyone else, the one who isn't trying to fit into the mold someone else created. That version of you, the raw, unfiltered, unapologetic version, is where your power lies. Strip away the expectations, the doubt, the fear, and you'll find the soul that's unshakable. They may have underestimated you. They may have thought the battles you fought would leave you broken beyond repair, but they were wrong. And now, it's your turn to show them just how wrong they were. It's your turn to rise, not for their sake, but for yours, because this is your story, and you're the one holding the pen. What will you write next? Will it be a tale of someone who let their circumstances define them, or will it be the story of someone who rose above everything that tried to hold them down? Let's talk about transformation. It's not a single moment. It's a series of choices, made day after day, moment after moment. It's waking up each morning and deciding that no matter how hard it gets, you're going to keep moving forward. It's choosing to see the lessons in the pain, the opportunities in the struggle, and the strength in the scars. It's not about waiting for someone to save you. It's about realizing you've had the power to save yourself all along. It's strength and determination that suit you. It's about realizing you've had the power to save yourself all along. Think about a sword. It doesn't become strong and sharp by avoiding the fire. It becomes what it's meant to be by enduring it. The heat, the pressure, the blows of the hammer, all of it is necessary to create something powerful. You are that sword. Life has been forging you, shaping you, preparing you for the battles ahead. And now, you're ready. The person you've become is no longer fragile, no longer afraid. No longer afraid. You are tempered, unyielding, and ready to face whatever comes next. Let me ask you this. What are you waiting for? What's holding you back? Is it fear of failure, fear of the unknown, or is it the belief that you're not enough? Whatever it is, it's time to confront it. Look it in the eye and say, I am stronger than you. Because you are. You've already proven it by surviving everything that tried to break you. And now, it's time to thrive. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward the life you deserve. It's not about perfection. It's not about erasing the past. It's about owning it. It's about taking everything you've been through and using it as fuel to propel you forward. You are not defined by your mistakes, your failures, or your pain. You are defined by what you do next. So, stand up, brush off the ashes, look in the mirror and see yourself for who you truly are. A warrior, a survivor, a soul that refuses to be defeated. The fire didn't destroy you, it built you. And now, it's your turn to rise and show the world what happens when someone refuses to give up. Because they thought you'd break. They thought you'd crumble under the weight of everything they threw at you. But they were wrong. You are not broken. You are not defeated. You are unstoppable. And this is only the beginning. When you walk away, when you walk to your car and go home to the place you came from, the place you made, do you feel it yet? That spark inside you, the one that refused to die no matter how dark the night became? It's been there all along, waiting for this moment, waiting for you to wake up and see what was hidden in plain sight. The chains they put on you were never locked. You've been holding the key all along. Every time you thought you needed someone else to free you, every time you waited for permission to rise, the answer was already in your hands. You're not broken, you're reborn. You're not defeated, you're defiant. Let those words settle into the deepest part of you. Say them out loud if you have to. Repeat them until they drown out the lies you've been told and the doubts you've carried. This is your truth now, and no one, not your past, not your pain, not the people who underestimated you, can take it away. Your truth is safe. Think of the darkest night you've ever endured, the one where the silence felt deafening, where every second dragged on like an eternity, where hope seemed like a cruel joke, and yet, here you are. You survived it, and do you know what the darkest nights give birth to? The brightest stars. That's who you are, a star forged in the shadows, shining because of the darkness, not in spite of it. Let's look at the rubble around you, the pieces of what once was. To some, it might look like destruction, like a life reduced to fragments. But not to you. You've turned that rubble into a fortress. Every broken piece has become part of your foundation, every setback a stone in the walls that now protect you. What they thought would destroy you has only made you stronger, and now you're standing taller than ever. Grounded, the station was created to retain the pieces that make you stronger, and now you're standing taller than ever. So let me ask you this. What will you choose? The pain of staying down or the power of standing up? It's not an easy choice. It never is. The pain is familiar, even comforting in its own twisted way. But staying there means forfeiting the life you were meant to live. It means giving up on the person you know you can become. And the power? It's terrifying because it demands something of you. It demands courage, effort, and a willingness to let go of what no longer serves you. But that power, it's yours. It's been waiting for you to claim it. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the moment you decide you're unstoppable, the moment you take everything that's ever hurt you, everything that's ever tried to break you, and you use it as fuel. This is the turning point, the shift where your story changes forever. From here on out, you're not the victim of your circumstances. You're the hero of your own journey. This is how the final struggle begins. This is how the true struggle begins. You are the hero of your own journey. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the life you've always wanted. The one that feels so far away. Now open your eyes and realize something. It's not as far as you think. The only thing separating you from that life is the decision to start walking toward it. Step by step, day by day, choice by choice. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start. Let's talk about those shadows that have been following you. The ones that whisper your fears, your failures, your insecurities. They don't hold power over you anymore. Because here's the truth about shadows. They only exist where there's light. And you are that light. You've been shining all along, even when you couldn't see it. Now it's time to let that light burn brighter than ever. You were not put on this earth to merely survive. You were made to thrive, to rise, to take up space and live boldly. They thought they could silence you, diminish you, erase you, but they didn't know who they were dealing with. They didn't know that every attempt to break you was only making you stronger. They didn't know that you would turn your pain into power, your struggles into strength, your struggles into triumph. This is your moment of awakening. The world has tried to dim your light, but it's time to show them just how brightly you can shine. Stand tall, lift your head, and let them see the person they never thought you could become. Let them see the strength they underestimated, the fire they couldn't extinguish. Get up out of your seat, says President Isaacs, sitting fully up. Ask yourself this: who am I when no one's looking? Who am I when the world is silent, when the masks come off? When it's just me and my thoughts? That's the person you need to believe in. That's the person who holds the key to your freedom, your power, your future. You've waited long enough. You've hoped, prayed, and dreamed of the day things would change. But change doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who act. It's time to reclaim your life, to take back control, to write the story you were always meant to live. Now because you're not broken, you're reborn. You're not defeated, you're defiant. This is your truth now, and no one, not the people who doubted you, not the circumstances that tried to destroy you, not even the voice of doubt in your own mind, can take it away. The chains are off, the key has always been in your hand, The question is, what will you do with it? Will you stay here, trapped in the shadows of your past, or will you step into the light of your future? The choice is yours. It always has been. And I already know what you're going to choose. You're gonna rise. You're gonna shine. You're gonna show the world and yourself that you are unstoppable. And when they look at you, standing tall, shining brightly, living fully, they'll finally understand what they never could before. You weren't just surviving, you were becoming. And now, there's no stopping you. Here you are, standing at the edge of everything you've ever wanted, with one final choice before you. The journey that brought you here was not easy. Every step felt like it could break you. Every mile was a fight against the weight of your past. But now, the hardest truth stands before you. This is where it begins. The climb was preparation, the struggle was training, and now the summit is in sight. Every step forward from here is a step toward the life they said you couldn't have. Every moment you choose to rise is proof that they were wrong. End quote. The journey ahead isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. You don't have to conquer the world in one day. Start small. Take the pieces of yourself that once felt broken and build something extraordinary. Build daily habits that reflect the unstoppable force you've become. Wake up with intention. Speak to yourself with the kindness you've always deserved. Show up, even when it feels hard. Even when it feels impossible. Because every small victory is a brick in the foundation of the life you're creating. But let's not stop at the surface. Let's dig deep into what this means for you. Every fear, every doubt, every whisper of inadequacy, they don't disappear overnight. They linger, testing you, waiting for a moment of weakness to take root again. And when that moment comes, and it will, you'll be ready. Because now you know the truth. You are not your past. You are not their lies. You are your resilience, your strength, your fire. You are the force they never saw coming, the one they underestimated, the one who refused to stay down. Are you? This is your roadmap. Start by asking yourself one question every day. What can I do right now to move closer to the life I deserve? It doesn't have to be monumental. Maybe it's getting out of bed when the weight of the world tells you to stay down. Maybe it's writing a single line in a journal, making a single call, taking a single step. Momentum doesn't come from leaps. It comes from tiny, deliberate movements. And with every step, you'll find the path growing clearer, the vision of your future sharper. Do not rush the process. Transformation is a journey, not a destination. It's waking up every morning and choosing to be better, stronger, and more intentional than you were yesterday. It's letting go of the need for validation, for permission, for approval. You don't need anyone else's belief in you. You only need your own. The world may have doubted you, but now it will never forget you. The pain you've endured has shaped you, but it does not define you. The mistakes you've made have taught you, but they do not confine you. The scars you carry have strengthened you, but they do not limit you. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are the architect of your future, and the blueprint is already within you. You don't need anyone to tell you what you're capable of. You already know. So rise. Rise, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Rise, not because the world is watching, but because your soul demands it. Rise, because every breath you take is a testament to the power you hold within. They thought they broke you, but all they did was make you unbreakable. All they did was light the fire that now burns so brightly inside you, it can never be extinguished. So, this is your moment, the one you've been waiting for, the one you've been preparing for, even when you didn't know it. Take the fear, the pain, the doubt, and use it as fuel. Let it drive you forward. Let it propel you into a life that's bigger, brighter, and bolder than anything you've ever imagined. The waiting is over. It's time to live your truth. The waiting is over. Let's not pretend this will be easy. There will be days when the old voices creep in, when the shadows of your past try to reclaim you. But this time, you'll be ready. This time you'll know that the chains were never locked, that the cage was always open, that the power was always yours. You've already won the hardest battle, the one against yourself. Now, it's time to show the world what happens when a soul refuses to be defeated. Shit. There's nowhere else for me to go, and there's no... Speak these words into existence. I am not my failures. I am my resilience. I am not my pain. I am my strength. I am not their lies. I am my truth. Let these words guide you, empower you, remind you, because this is who you are now. Unbreakable, unstoppable, undeniable. And when the world looks at you, standing tall, shining brightly, living fully, they'll see what they never saw before. They'll see a force of nature, a survivor, a warrior. They'll see someone who took everything that tried to destroy them and turned it into a foundation for greatness. And when you destroy what you set forth, the final challenge is simple but profound. Rise and show them what happens when a soul refuses to be defeated. Show them what happens when someone who was underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed decides to claim their power. Show them that the life they said you couldn't have is the one you're living, unapologetically and authentically. And as you walk this path, remember, you were made for this. You were made to rise, to shine, to inspire. The world may have doubted you, but now it will never forget you. But now it will never forget you, because you are not broken. You are reborn. You are not defeated. You are defiant. And this is only the beginning. Look back for a moment, not to dwell, but to see how far you've come. The cracks that once felt like weaknesses now glow with the light of resilience. The pain that once threatened to consume you is now the fuel that propels you forward. The weight you carried, the battles you fought, the tears you shed, they were never in vain. They were the fire that forged you, the anvil on which your strength was shaped. This is the story of breaking and becoming, of falling and rising, of losing and finding. It's a story not of endings, but of beginnings. You've transformed, not into something new, but into the version of yourself you were always meant to be, the unstoppable force that no doubt, no fear, no circumstance can hold back. As you step forward from here, carry this truth with you. You were never broken beyond repair. You were being rebuilt into something greater. You were forged in fire, and now you're destined to shine. The world is watching now, but not for your failures, for your brilliance. Step into your light and let them see what happens when a soul refuses to stay defeated. This is your time. This is your legacy. Shine.